To give a little background, my background is in something called cranial sacral therapy. Are people familiar with cranial sacral therapy? Yeah, a little bit. Nowadays, I don't do clinical work at all. I primarily work with lasers, develop lasers in different technology, and we do a seminar process called Still Point. I want to kind of share one thing before we get started, which if you understand this one thing, it's going to help tremendously in terms of the bigger picture of how I use lasers, what I do with lasers, the approach that I take, and that's something we call Still Point in our seminars.
Thank you for joining our presentation. Shortly, you will hear about a revolutionary product that is changing the lives of thousands of people around the planet. It is an FDA-cleared, CE-cleared, Health Canada cleared, cold or soft laser called the Scalarwave laser. You will hear from inventor Paul Weisbart as he explains the unique philosophy behind which he developed this amazing craniosacral laser, ideal for chiropractic, massage therapy, body and energy work. And you will learn about special offers available only to viewers of this program. We hope you enjoy the presentation.
I just want to start the evening off by covering this, because if you understand this one thing, then everything else I'm going to do is going to kind of line up around this one thing. Well, this is the same. When you wake up every day, whatever programs you run, whether you inherited them from someone, family, parents, whether you went out and got them or found them, whatever programs you run, you're going to get that every day. If you run thinking, you're going to get a lot of thinking. You run emotions, you're going to get a lot of emotions. You run body, concern about the body, issues with body, you're going to get that. You run criticism or judgment or frustration or inner critic not being good enough. All of those are the kinds of programs that everyone here is running in some way, shape, or form. And in my life, I like to delete those programs. How would it be if you had a computer and everything you opened, everything just kind of stayed open, if you didn't understand how to delete things and close things? You know, you'd have the thing for like 2 weeks and then the thing would stop working. Everyone take another big breath in and stop right here. Now right here, okay, don't hold the breath, relax, the breath will keep going. Yet if you stay right here, try something. Try to hold a thought or an emotion. Not so easy. This is what yogis do. This is the technology of yogis. It's not so complicated. Now try while you're resting here. While you're resting here, try holding an area of tension or pain in the body while you're resting here in neutrality. Not so easy. In other words, this space right here is a delete key. You rest here, it's like a magnet. You know, the magnet holds things. You flip the polarity neutral, all the metal filings drop. Your brain waves, if they're always going like this, thinking, you hold things. You go neutral. So what we're going to do, in my life, I spend a good portion of my life resting right here. A good day for me is when I'm resting here. You don't hold stuff. Everything I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share with you 3 or 4 different things tonight. The first one is Still Point. I already shared you the most powerful one. I'm going to share a few other things. They all have the same response. I made them all very specifically to induce, unwind, and bring me here. Because I really like to be here. If I'm in this state, life is really sweet. It's a lovely place here, planet Earth. This particular one is called the Scalarwave laser. This is the laser that Lily and I and our daughter Essentia, who's informed me, she's to be mentioned, developed. Low-level lasers for folks that are new here this evening. I'm just going to do a very brief intro. Once the laser is on, I like to tell people to do it over the stomach is a great place to start. You can also do it over an area of tension or pain, face. You can do it over anything. Except don't. A woman in Wales a while ago, I said, put it over pain, and she'd start doing her husband. Don't do that. Okay, once the laser is on, basically to give you just a very basic recap overview of what the laser does. Lasers donate energy. Lasers donate photons into the cells. And for folks that are kind of watching medicine, lasers right now are very exciting. There are some really exciting things going on in lasers right now. I tell people, we're going to talk tonight. I want to just mention lasers in medicine are huge right now. Every area in medicine is heavily involved in lasers, investing, using, researching. Everyone from ophthalmologists are using lasers, dentists are using lasers, cosmetic folks are using lasers. Every form of surgery now uses a type of laser procedure. Oncology, for cancer, they have a proton laser, different than a photon laser. DNA research is being done with lasers. We're going to talk about one little sliver of that medical laser pie called cold laser therapy, low-level laser therapy, which is what this technology is, okay? This laser, to give a little reference point, our lasers, Scalarwave laser, my wife and I and our daughter developed it. It's an FDA-cleared medical device. We're cleared by FDA as an over-the-counter medical device, which is unique. Many lasers currently in use right now, they're not over-the-counter. You need to be a doctor or get a prescription to use them. Our lasers, anybody can use our lasers. The basic principle of lasers, just to give you just a basic overview of what they do, the basic thing that lasers do is when you apply lasers over an area, a knee, an organ, back, a tooth, whatever the issue is, the key thing that the laser does is it donates photons. Donates photons. Why? What they found is that when you donate photons into the cell, that stimulates ATP in the cell. Adenosine triphosphate, ATP, energy. That is the key thing. Every laser company that makes planets on this planet that makes lasers will tell you the same thing. That lasers donate energy. Why? Because energy stimulates the cells to replicate and regenerate. They have found an increase when you laser different areas, an increase of ATP, of cellular energy by as much as 150%. Most professional sports teams have several lasers. I've sold lasers. This year we sold them to San Francisco 49ers. Sold lasers to Miami Heat, New York Giants. Many sports teams are using laser therapy. Why? For one key reason. If you have an injury, knee, shoulder, and you apply light, the light stimulates the ATP, energy, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, fancy word for energy molecule. You increase energy. It's the same principle as a garden. You have garden, you plant it in sun. If the sun is delivering photons, fruits, vegetables grow bigger, healthier fruits, vegetables. That is the exact same principle that I use when I laser things. My goal, if I'm working on someone, if there's a situation, I apply laser over the knee, over the shoulder. Why? I want to stimulate cellular regeneration.
We hope that you're enjoying our presentation. Please take a moment to click on the link in the description for special offers normally available only to existing laser owners. For the first time ever, we are offering these discounts on a limited basis to people who want to enjoy the Scalarwave laser and the amazing benefits of still point yogic technologies. Shiva Ray is a world-renowned yoga instructor celebrated by yoga masters and beginners alike. We caught up with her in her home in Malibu, California to find out why she loves the Scalarwave laser.
Well, I feel very lucky that pretty much most of my adult life through yoga, I have never had any injuries. I feel like yoga is a great gift to our whole being. So what happened to me is I jumped from a very high stairs onto the sand, which was uneven. I was following my son, and so we just jumped, and I sustained a complex medial meniscus tear. That's when I got to try out the laser, and within a few weeks, really there was a significant change just from simply using the unwind protocol. And now I have no pain at all, and it was significantly painful that I was really about to get the surgery. And most indigenous systems, such as yoga, have always connected to our energetic body, and also that our energetic body is completely connected to all of the elements and also to all of the cosmos. So it's not only that we are light beings, but we actually nourish ourselves. through the light.
Massage therapists, chiropractors, craniosacral therapists all over the world are experiencing the benefit of the Scalarwave laser and sharing it with their clients every day. They know that this is the only laser invented by a craniosacral therapist and share why they use it with their clients and why they want all their clients to know, I love my laser.
Well, I have a wellness practice in Lakewood, Colorado, and so I'm already working with energy. But I really wanted something that could give me the coherent light that a laser presents. And I had some extensive surgery done, and I was worried about developing adhesions because that can cause a lot of pain long term. And only a few weeks later, I found out about the laser, and so I got one, and I used it almost exclusively for about a month. I ran it 3 or 4 times a day right over the surgery area, and I'm happy that I didn't get any adhesions at all, and the surgery healed up really quickly and really well. Once I started using it on myself, I started to realize all the potential, and I now use it on all my clients.
Well, I was at a Del Mar Fair show, and it was kitty corner to the booth where I was, and I just was watching everybody coming out very relaxed and kind of almost like in a different world, and I thought, what is that? So I went, I tried it out, and being a healthcare practitioner, I love any new updated kind of device or technology that can help heal or unwind people. So I thought I'd try it out, and that night I was asked to come to the workshop. I was just in awe. I couldn't believe all the things that it could do. And being a healthcare practitioner, like I said, I have lots of things that I could do to treat people, but this is like the fastest. It's the easiest, the fastest. Knowing that it's FDA approved, I couldn't go wrong with that one because people feel so confident knowing that. So I purchased the family pack. And I realized that it could do emotional release, and I was struggling with that. As a practitioner, that is one of my hardest things, to figure out what technique I'm going to use to release people's baggage. So I saw they put a woman on the table, and after he did the whole protocol, front and back, and she started crying. And actually, we couldn't tell if she was crying or laughing.
And then I didn't know what he was doing, come to find out that my husband told me he took one of the probes, I think it was the violet probe, for about 10 feet. And he was running it, and all of a sudden I just started like bawling, just started crying. Something about now, it was just a most amazing relief, and people go, what were you crying about? And I go, I don't know. It was just a release at the deepest level. I don't even remember how long it lasted, but it was just a feeling of like, whew, finally I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be all right. My body's gonna be able to calm down. I'm gonna be able to heal. All is right with the world. So thank you to Paul and Lily, really, for creating this.
From my perspective, the only thing, and hear me on this, because this is one of those things that what I talked about earlier about programs. A lot of people run the program that the body doesn't regenerate. They genuinely think their bodies don't regenerate. And so you have a problem. That's a great program if you're in the medical industry. The medical industry likes that program because when you have a problem and you don't believe your body can find solutions and regenerate, guess what that means? That means you're going to go find an expert really fast. And you're going to do whatever they tell you because you really just don't trust the body. Well, I tell everyone in our seminars, you come to our larger 2, 3, 4-day seminars, I tell everyone, start deleting some programs. If you run that program, body doesn't regenerate, pull it up here and take a breath. Stop here. Delete it. It's not a right program. The only thing your bodies ever do is regenerate. From my perspective, I'm just kind of going through, breaking this thing down. The reason I use lasers, every day for me, my view, I got challenges every day. Every day I jump in and say, okay, what am I going to dig on? What am I going to work on today? It's like a garden. This is like a garden. You know, if you had a garden, would you sit by and just let the weeds grow and say, well, we'll see what grows, you know? For me, I am not into random. If I have a challenge, I don't want to sit around and just say, well, we'll see what happens to it. I want to dig in and see what can I do to change the physics of the situation. And I'm going to go over a little bit about what makes our lasers a bit unique. Our lasers use 3 different wavelengths. The first one we use is red. This is a red laser. I tell people red lasers, the benefit to red lasers are really, really good for surface tissue. Just for demonstration purposes, this really helps to kind of show how far red lasers, you can see how far red lasers go into the body. They go about that far into the body. So what is that light doing? When red lasers go in, it's stimulating blood, oxygen, electrons, and ATP. You can turn those back on. Thank you very much. Again, red lasers, the benefit, now a lot of laser companies, they only make red, or other companies only make infrared. And we're unique. Those companies all argue. The red ones say theirs are the best, the infrared say theirs are the best. My view is they're different. For me, if I want to work on anything that far into the body, skin, muscle, nerve, soft tissue, meridians, anything that far into the body, I use red lasers. Skin, facial rejuvenation, red lasers work great. Infection, open wounds, red lasers work great. Pain, red lasers work great. Dental situations, right up. I did every day, twice a day. I tell people, the approach that I take to lasers, I don't sit in laser for like 2 hours or 4 hours. I do 10, 15, 20 minutes in one setting, one session. Then I come back later in the day or the next day and I do it again. My goal is to rebuild the tissue, to relax, get the blood flowing, rebuild the tissue. Red lasers are phenomenal for surface tissue, stuff on this far out from the body. Also really good if you want to purify the blood. Really good for purifying the blood right in here like this. A lot of companies talk about how there's a lot of blood that moves through this area, blood purification. Great for weight loss. We have a lot of people that do weight loss protocols. The tip of the nose is a thyroid point. So if you want to stabilize the thyroid. The second wavelength that I work with is infrared. Infrared to me is really unique because it works much deeper into the body. This is an infrared laser. Infrared, unlike red, you can't see. Infrareds are not visible to the human eye. I put some violet light around it so you can see that it's on and it softens it up. Infrared, some cameras will see infrared. In fact, the shows, you know, the paranormal shows on TV, they use infrared cameras and they can see things that the human eye doesn't see. Infrared beam. The benefit of infrared is really good for deeper seated stuff, bone, cartilage, disc. Anything like past this amount of the body, I use infrared. Why? Google infrared laser research. Every infrared laser clinical study, there's been tons of them done, they all show the same thing, that infrared lasers increase bone density. There's always be a doctor in the audience who'd say, well, what about nerves? Because they said for years nerves don't regenerate. Well now, guess what? New science has shown nerves actually do regenerate. Then it turned to neurons. And then they'd say, well, what about neurons? Because they used to say neurons, you know, that's why they'd say when you were young, you know, don't smoke and don't drink because you burn out your neurons and you can't grow them back. 2 studies have come out showing definitively. One of the studies came out using infrared lasers and showed definitively with infrared laser, not this laser, so I'm not saying this laser does that, but a different infrared laser showed definitively you can regenerate neuron and brain cell activity in the brain. Third wavelength that I use in our lasers, I covered so far red, infrared, and violet. The violet's the third wavelength that we use in our lasers. Most companies do not use violet lasers. I'm really into violet lasers because violet lasers, from my perspective, are really good for anti-aging, for longevity. They're particularly good for emotional situations. Anyone with emotional stress, any other stress, really good for people with bacterial issues, Lyme's disease. Violet light's antibacterial. Really good for dental situations. It's really good for energy work and balancing out the energy in the field. It's very, very popular. People in our network that have this typically really use it a lot and like it a lot. Most companies don't make violet lasers. Our lasers are a little bit unique in that we use violet. Other companies don't use them because they're a lot more expensive. Violet lasers are a lot more expensive, hence companies don't use them. The only other company that makes a violet laser is $18,000, and theirs is less powerful than ours. Ours is a 100 milliwatt laser. That company makes a 20 milliwatt violet laser for $18,000. The reason Kairos and a lot of people are using violet lasers is because they're profoundly good for dealing with emotional stress. A lot of people have a lot of emotions. Kairos find that a lot of people, anyone ever go to the Chiro and he muscle tests you, he or she muscle tests you, or moves your feet around? They're asking questions when they do that. You have back pain, they're asking questions. Is it related to an organ? Is it connected to an injury? Is it something else? Is it emotion? And Kairos routinely say that like 70–80% of people with back, neck, shoulder pain, when they get to emotion, they test positive. Well, what do? When Kairos test positive people for emotion, they use violet lasers. Violet lasers are really good for emotional stress.
Our aim is to see that if you want a scalar wave laser in your home or practice, that you will get one. We offer easy financing that has helped thousands and thousands of people from around the globe to enjoy the benefits of this still point yogic technology. You too can enjoy the benefits of the scalar wave laser, the only FDA-cleared laser on the market to integrate red, infrared, and violet wavelengths into a convenient, portable, handheld cold laser that can be used without wearing goggles and anywhere that you are. Traditionally, cold lasers have been prohibitively expensive. That is until the scalar wave laser. We caught up with laser practitioners who wanted to share just how impressed they were with the affordability of the scalar wave laser. Just another reason why they love their laser.
When I first met Paul and Lily at an expo selling lasers, I received the treatment and it was magic. And I trusted my gut feeling initially. And the price was a lot, I admit. Thousands of dollars on this kind of thing. I've never spent that much money on a device. And yet I knew intuitively right away that it was the real deal. And once I got my laser, everyone that I worked with started receiving the benefits immediately. So there's so much patient data that indicates that this stuff really works.
I have used other more expensive lasers, and so I knew what laser therapy could do.
I've used a number of other lasers that cost $10,000 to $15,000, and they didn't have the capability with the violet and infrared and red laser combinations. So I was very excited, one, to find that combination. Secondly, to find something that was over-the-counter legal and that I could get in the hands of my patients and teach other massage therapists how to use laser with their treatments.
My current system that I first had, it cost me $50,000. So when I first was introduced to the quantum wave, of course I didn't want it to work. But after about a month of using it, my patients began to get better, faster.
Whether you're concerned about the price, whether you're concerned about, will I have time to use this? These are all legitimate concerns, and I found that no matter what, this is the best investment I ever made, and I always make time to use it because it feels so good. You're gonna find those 20-30 minutes in the end of your day to use it, and this is absolutely worth your time and money more than any other technology out there. And believe me, I have used a lot of technologies now. I started investing in all sorts of devices, and this is the #1 technology if you don't have anything to invest in, because it will change your life and impact you better than anything on the market.
I want to focus this training on the principle of unwinding. To me, this is huge. This is so key right now for anyone who is interested in adjusting and orienting to the physics of the new season. In fact, I often say in our seminars and retreats, my interest, if you're having a challenge or an issue or some situation going on, right? The key to that situation is being able to figure out, okay, how do you change the physics of that situation? Right? If you can't change the physics of it, well, then you have to live with it, right? Some knee or a shoulder. If you have something going on and you can't change the physics of it, you have to kind of live with that experience. And the yogi that I learned from was really clear, right? That karma is it's like a wave, right? And what defines, it's the motion, right? So in the wave, the previous moment defines the next moment experience of that wave. So it's inertia. Karma is inertia. How that translates to people's lives is, well, whatever you're bringing with you from your previous moment to your next moment, injury, cell memory, emotion, belief, whatever, if you bring it to your next moment, you've just defined the next moment reality. To give a little background, my background's in cranial work. I then stopped doing cranial work and went and hung around with yogis. And so to me, I from my experience doing cranial work, I understood and appreciated how important and amazing it is to be able to take any given thing that's going on and invite it to unwind. Kind of like if you had rubber band and it was tight. Well, if you want to really use that rubber band, it's all like this. Well, you have to be able to invite it to unwind. And once you have that ability, then you can unwind rubber bands. Well, from my perspective, everything in this condition, in the body and this experience, and the body in particular, is coordinated in some way with the cranial sacral rhythm. And the cranial sacral rhythm is this very subtle pulse that gently moves the sheaths around the brain and spinal cord to go gently in and then out. It's called flexion and extension. Go in, slower than the breath, and as it moves, it very gently moves cerebral spinal fluid, the discs. It's like kind of like a hydraulic system, very subtle, and there are nerves that come in between each disc. And so when it moves, you have this integrity, and there's motion, there's movement with the entire system. The joints move, the fluids move, the fascia moves, everything kind of goes in and out. So the entire kind of cellular situation is threaded and connected vis-a-vis this rhythm. And so in cranial work, there's an understanding that the rhythm is moving. For people often that get an injury or been knocked around a bunch, or the rhythm can then get kind of backed up, and then it gets pressure, and other things start to, so in systems, the nerves get compressed, things don't function. So if you can gently unwind this rhythm and get and reestablish this integrity, then everything starts to interact and kind of like this. Well, they also show you something in the process called still point, which is when you take the rhythm and you kind of invite it to gently collapse it. And to me, this is key. I can't say this enough. When I learned cranial work, I loved the cranial rhythm. Yet to me, there's a lot of over-focus on the cranial rhythm in folks that do cranial work. To me, the key, when I learned still point, I was like in love with still point. Right away, I was like, back then, Deepak had come out with this theory of cell memory, right? Which this is a ways back. And basically he said, well, if the body's new in 7 or 8 years, why would someone have an injury 10, 15, 20 years later? And what he came out with was that the cells, if there's an injury or a shock, new cells keep coming in, yet the old cell passes the information from the shock or the injury to the new cell then acts and behaves like the old cell, even though it's a brand new cell. Well, when I heard that, my head immediately went to, well, how do you clear that cell memory? I was practicing cranial work back then. Deepak, when he came out with it, didn't really share how to clear it. And so I immediately, in my head, considered the cassette, right? If you have a cassette, or considered that still point is how you, if you have a cassette and you want to erase or what's on it, you hit erase. Well, erase flips the polarity and it goes neutral and the information's gone. Well, what I did for years is people come to me with injuries or issues. If you find the rhythm, it's like flipping the polarity, positive, negative, and then whoosh, collapse it in neutral and still point. Information gone. And it works. I did this for years. It's fantastic. People come to me, I was busy. I wouldn't really do a ton of cranial work. Really, I'd do points and unwind the fascia, find the rhythm, and then I'd collapse whatever adhesions or anomalies were going on. Contractions. Well, I stopped doing that at a certain point, and I got kind of burnt out. I'd unwind people, they'd come back 2 weeks later, they were contracted again, and I just kind of got burnt out doing it. Everyone take a nice big breath in. I want to share with you how to drop in still point. Take a nice breath in. Stop right at the top. Hold for a moment. Feels like holding the breath. Let the breath keep going like it does when you rest. on its own. It's good at doing its own thing, yet you stay here in the space between the breath. In my life, every 10, 15 minutes, I check in, reset, drop back in, still point. All right, so it wasn't, I learned about still point from Yogi. Yogi said he lived in the space between the breath. I had been using still point in the work that I was doing when I met the yogi, and they basically said, well, we're just going to organize reality from this place. From that day on, in my life, I organize reality from this place. And it's key, because when you're neutral, when you're here in still point, you don't try holding a thought or an emotion. Not so easy. So some while later, I got involved with lasers because of a dental infection I was dealing with, which I'm not going to get into too much for now. Suffice to say that I used laser and completely cleared out the infection above the front tooth, regrew the bone. And then one day I was playing with light. I was basically trying different things with the waves. And I found if I did a certain thing with the laser light, not frequency, everyone's doing frequency. I'm not that drawn to frequency. Frequency is simply how fast something goes from one point to another. It goes fast, not so fast. It's still linear either way. So what we do, it was changing the linear nature of that wave, which is the same thing that still point does. Still point, breath, cranial rhythm, positive, negative. You go into the space between the breath, whoosh, neutral. Well, I discovered when I was playing around with waves that if I did a very specific thing to the light, I felt my cranial rhythm start to unwind. And as soon as I experienced that, I was very intrigued. I was like, that's incredible. That's really neat. That light could induce dissolution and unwinding. And so that's really when we began to get into laser, because that's something, from my perspective, that every person here on planet Earth should, one, understand how the system works, right? If you hold on to things from previous moments, yogis call it karma, I call it polarity. If you hold on to things, you're going to experience them again. If you can dissolve and bring things into neutral, resets. So our products and technologies are designed really exclusively. I mean, the basis of the whole approach is designed to unwind any kind of cell memory contraction going on in one's condition. And for folks that own the laser, I want to kind of show you how to do that. And I tell people, if you own our laser, the first thing you do is turn it on, put it in your hand for a moment. And simply wait 5-10 seconds. And all you're looking for is, when do you feel your body start to go into what we call an unwind? Like, that feels great. I'm on the first program for me right now. If it doesn't feel great, go to the second program, quantum. That one feels even better. So that's how I pick what program I'm going to do. I go to each one. Same thing you do when you watch TV, right? You go to one, no, you don't like, you go to the next. When you find one you like, you breathe, you sigh, you take a breath. Exact same thing. We have lay people, we have practitioners, we have osteopaths, we have chiropractors, sports teams, doctors, hospitals, yogis, all kinds of people. 25,000 people around the planet use our products. So put the first one on, put the second. When you find the one that has this nice unwinding, where you feel the key thing you want to feel is your body going like this. Unwinding, unwinding. Now, once you find that program that puts you into that unwind, now you want to pick one thing that's going on in your experience. Could be a physical thing, could be a knee, could be a shoulder, could be your liver, could be your stomach, could be your brain, could be your whole condition, could be a chakra, could be an emotion, could be, doesn't matter what the thing is. One thing I found in my life is that most issues that I have going on are similar in that they are tight. Most issues, pain, stress, emotion, you name it, digestive issue, migraine. Most issues are tight, contracted, contraction. So if you can find that thing, and again, the key to our technology is in the sacred scalar approach to what we're doing with the waves. We're basically inducing inside the light subtle scalar waves, different than any other scalar system on the planet. All other scalar energy devices I've tried are very strong and stimulating. To me, I only like things that are subtle. I shouldn't say that entirely, but it's kind of accurate. I really like things that are subtle. To me, the juice of the universe and beyond is in the subtle state of being. Cranial system, subtle. The glands, I'm really big. The reason I didn't pursue osteopathy and cranial work, I love cranial work, yet the key from my perspective is the yogic state is still point. And the key to holding, in other words, the key to holding one's cranial rhythm in a state of still point in integrity are the glands. And glands work through a principle called entrainment, which is why I tell people if your glands are entrained and they're releasing adrenaline, cortisol. Entrainment's like when women live in a house together, their cycles come together. When you grow up around your family, people get entrained to the people they're around, cultural. People get entrained here. And so from my perspective, the key is to unwind the adrenal entrainment and then to start to get the glands. When the thymus gland opens, the pineal and pituitary gland, the subtle yogic anatomy, then it conditions and activates one's expression and state of being. And this is simply a very subtle healing instrument, tool, technology to assist in that process. Again, the scalar waves inside, and let me explain one more thing. Scalar energy, Tesla was into scalar, right? Longitudinal transverse waves go like this, right? They're moving in a direction, past, present, future, linear. A scalar wave, Tesla called them standing waves. If you take the past and the future and weave it into the present, it looks like this. Any wave that looks like this, you have positive, negative, and neutral, like the medical symbol or the nadis along the spine. Positive, negative, perfect symmetry. When they're in perfect symmetry, they collapse like the chakras, right? The nadis collapse, they open up a chakra. Tesla said there were scalar energies all around. To me, scalar energy is same as prana, chi, universal energy. Same thing. It's nonlinear energy that the universe is teeming with. And the key to accessing this unlimited energy of the universe is to have your own condition oriented towards scalar. And the first step in that process is to drop into still point, right? So everyone take breath in, stop right at the top. When you hold still point, positive, negative, breath, positive, negative. Still point's the neutral. That's a scalar. Positive, negative, neutral. Scalar is simply a full waveform progression. When you hold still point, it starts to activate the subtle sacred scalar energy along the spine. We cover that in another session. For now, the key principle is understanding the importance of being able to unwind whatever's going on in your condition. Every day, pick one or two things to unwind. Maybe you start with an injury, a situation. Maybe it's an organ. I show people how to unwind the organs, how to unwind the digestive system, how to unwind, we have a base protocol unwinding the adrenals, the tailbone sacrum, which is hugely important, and the occipital ridge, the sphenoid, the vagus nerve, and the sphenoid. Those three things, adrenals, tailbone, sacrum, occipital ridge, vagus nerve, and sphenoid, those three things helps to keep one oriented in a nonlinear state. We call still point, we call the quantum field, where the energy that surrounds the body opens. Subtle faculty, subtle body. Our approach is slightly different. It's based on our experience of what's happening in the new season, new moment here on planet Earth, this new season. I always tell people, don't believe me, don't trust me. This is experience that I'm having, and I tell people, try it. You try, you see. This laser technology that we've developed, I don't want to get too into the products. Sign up if you're interested in finding out more about our products. And we also have a whole training, online training, subtle yogic training program for still point lasers, for unwinding, and opening into what we call the quantum field. And for activating the scalar energy along the spine, for opening up the glands, for basically expressing and flowering your state of being here at this moment on planet Earth, which is key. That is what our planet, this is key. We don't come from the previous moment here. The old season was about growing your perception relative to previous moments you had here on planet Earth. That was nice. Perhaps it's a little bit redundant. Things keep happening. You know, people keep repeating the same. New season is about coming from who we really are, right? It's coming from, not the past, coming from being. Expressing through this subtle condition, through the glands, through who we truly are. What we're here to express and share. All our products are designed to help assist in that journey of opening up and into the new season, abiding in the new season, and expression of one's essence and being. And it's key to understand how unwinding is essential. If you can't unwind, it's like having a computer and you open things and you can't close them. You've got to be able to understand how to close. You've got to be able to unwind your cell memory, unwind different things that happen, and reset them into neutral, reset them into neutral. It's a 101 for anyone who has a human body. You can't just hold on to all these contractions, karma, and expect someone to come and do it for you. Got to be able to clear these different things so much as you can. Otherwise, you just repeat them into the next moment. And the key thing, I want to cover this really clear, is, to me, there are three key states. Positive, negative, neutral. And everything in this whole play, elements, stars, everything is in an orbit that between positive, negative, neutral. Cells, everything is in this condition, positive, negative, neutral, that's in this whole equation here. Contraction is the planet. The planet is this thing spinning. It's like that ride at the carnival. It's spinning around and you get pulled back. That wasn't my thing. The planet is I always joke, I said this planet, I said it's not that planet, it's not the right ride. It spins and it pulls you, and then I was here and I said, it pulls you into the body. That's contraction, positive. The galaxy is this big galaxy spinning around. When you unwind, the cranial rhythm is it's the galactic rhythm. The whole galaxy is going like an axis, positive, negative, and spin. It's like if you had a bottle of water and you spun it around, everything would line up and be going a rhythm this way and this way. Everything in this galaxy is dimensionally relative, the cranial rhythm, to that galactic rhythm. Back and forth. So you got contraction. You want to unwind contraction. The galactic rhythm is the unwinding, like the rubber band. It's tight, you unwind it. Well, yogis, mystics, all understand still point. They call it the space between the breath. They call it the breathless state. I call it still point. When you acclimate to this state, what does it do? Neutral. It shifts your condition out of the galactic state of that flux of going back and forth and into the universal, the state that's the state between the galaxies. There is no polarity condition going on. It's neutral. So again, three things. And everything that's come into this creative expression, is going through that. If you want to be effective at your interaction, at your experience here, you've got to be versed. It's like if you jumped into the ocean and you went down and then you went and landed on the bottom. Well, in order to be effective, you've got to be able to kind of get back up to the top, get out of it, and like that, right? Well, if you came here and you came through the universe, through the galactic state, and onto the planet that's pulling into a contraction, you've got to understand the language, the nature of these different states. Contraction, unwinding, cranial rhythm, still point, yogic state, neutral. And if you're versed in that, the way I go through life is I cultivate the condition of being here in neutral. Because I don't experience my reality as coming from the universe, from the galaxy, or from this star and this planet. My experience comes from a state of being. And so we have to be, it's like if you went scuba, right? You'd take on the scuba gear, you'd go down, and if you identified that the scuba gear was who you are, well, it's when the scuba gear ran out of the oxygen, your experience is done, right? You got to get out, go back through the different states, take off the scuba, and then there you are. In the same way, we got to be able to dissolve and unwind and collapse anything physical, anything emotional, anything psychic. We got to be able to collapse and dissolve those things. Then we got to be able to hold neutral, hold still point. And then we activate with the subtle yogic process that we share, practice, and the glands, and opening into state of being, arriving back into being and expression. So this was a overview of the importance of unwinding and the cranial system, and how we, in our approach, we also do processes which we share in our online training portal with how, if you don't have laser, how to go and welcome something. We call welcoming. You welcome an injury, how to go up to it and say aloha and welcome it and allow it to go through that unwinding and then to reset back into neutral. How to do it with an emotion or a cell memory, an emotion, a program that's not working for you. Got to be able to do it, whether you have technology or your own perception, to be able to dissolve things so you can collapse it, reset, get back here to neutral. And open up to being. So good work, everyone. It's always special. I love to be a part of this whole expression. And it's a special moment on planet Earth. It's a strong moment on planet Earth right now. And it's also a strong moment, and it's important that those who have the ability and the opportunity to open up to who they truly are and express in the fullness of being, do so. That is what we, on planet Earth, we are here to cultivate this new moment, this new season. And so I thank you for being a part of this and for being here. I always appreciate getting to do this in any moment, and also doing it with others.
Still point is central to the Scalarwave laser technology. We caught up with attendees to one of Paul's retreats to find out what they felt about still point yogic technologies.
Still point is one of the best gifts that the laser gives you, because I find things don't bother me like they used to. I don't react to things the way I used to. I see it's all an attitude, but it's more than that, because when you're in still point, it's so hard to describe. I feel like I am now living in still point, which enriches your life. And I am so blessed, because I used to think, well, you've got to learn to meditate, you've got to learn to do this and that, you have to distress yourself. No, you go to still point and you're there. It's so easy. This is the sign of the future. Thank you so much for all that I've gotten from this. I couldn't be any happier, and I want to share it with the world.
Well, I've been a yogi myself for many years, about 32 years. I studied with a master from India, Yogi Bhajan, and I've been teaching Kundalini Yoga, also Ashtanga Yoga, and I also do a form of healing which is connected to yoga called Satnam Rasayan, which is very similar to the still point that Paul teaches. So I'm versed in all of these forms of yoga. So we see literally thousands of people who are doing yoga as part of their life, and we invite them in and we share the light. And it's really just a beautiful experience because it just deepens the process of yoga and it allows them to go even deeper into the still point and into unwinding and releasing, because that's what yoga ultimately is about, is releasing your stress. So it's taking that experience to a deeper level and more profound level. So it's synergistic. It's very synergistic with the yogic philosophy and practice, and also with yogic healing as well. I loved it because of the simplicity and just the happiness and joy that he imparts when he teaches it. It's beautiful. I love it. It's incredible.
I just love the fact that he really, instills principles of still point, and when we're in that space, we can heal, and that, he's not a doctor, he's not whatever. He just helps guide us to know what is the truth. That you don't have to spend hours going to workshops and yogi retreats and ashrams and spend years of your life studying this stuff, where I like the fact that he reminds us basic, simple concepts that when you're in that space, in that still point, you heal. Just being in that space. And so it's cool to remind myself of that, because my body adrenaline system's really messed up for 12 years now. What's wonderful is that you can use this.
Before we continue, please take a moment to click on the link in the description for access to specials only available for a limited time. For the first time ever, we are making wholesale pricing available to people who are not existing members of our network. If you need a Scalarwave laser in your life, we are going to get you one. Chiropractors, massage therapists, energy workers, Reiki masters are sharing the benefit of the Scalarwave laser with all their clients. We offer financing and wholesale prices to all the members of our network, and for the first time, we're making that pricing available to you. R&B legend Chaka Khan has entertained millions around the world for decades. When she grew concerned that she wasn't able to perform anymore, she turned to the Scalarwave laser. We flew out to Los Angeles, California to join her for a recording session and find out why Chaka Khan loves her laser.
Paul and Lily are two wonderful people. They have this amazing aura. When you first meet them, you could be in the most chaotic of situations and they bring total peace onto the scene, They are natural healers that are really in it for the true calling of what they're about, which is healing mankind. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. The kinds of problems I was having were mainly problems that go along with not really particularly taking good care of my acts, of my vocal cords. I was going through a really rough times, trying to record, trying to sing live, and if it had not been for the laser, I think there were many times I would not have been able to perform. Or I recall having an infection that had to do with my upper chest and my vocal cords, and the laser did miraculously well for that melody. And getting enough sleep, that was another thing. It's a muscle. You have to rest your vocal cords because it is essentially a muscle. And so I wasn't getting the proper rest. And the laser also assisted me with that. This is my friend. This is my best friend right here, this laser. Paul and Lily, you guys rock. And please kiss Essentia for me. Mwah.